Australia, a land of vast landscapes, unique wildlife, and a culture that's as vibrant as it is diverse, known for its sunshine, shrimp on the barbie, and laid-back lifestyle. But did you know it was also the site of a peculiar conflict? Yes, a war against emus. You read that right. In 1932, the Australian Army declared war on the emu, a large, flightless bird that roams the outback. This wasn't just a skirmish, it was a full-blown military operation. Picture it, soldiers armed with Lewis guns facing off against these feathered foes. The emus, however, proved to be surprisingly resilient and elusive. It sounds like something out of a Monty Python sketch, but this is a true story, a bizarre blip in Australian history. The soldiers found themselves outmaneuvered by the emus, who seemed to have a knack for dodging bullets. The Great Emu War, as it's now known, may sound comical, but it highlights a serious issue faced by Australia at the time: the impact of introduced species on the delicate ecosystem. The emus were destroying crops, leading to significant agricultural losses. So grab your Akubra hats and slather on some sunscreen as we delve into this strange and fascinating chapter of Australian history. From the strategies employed to the ultimate outcome, this tale is as intriguing as it is unusual. After World War I, Australia faced a new enemy, the emu. These large, flightless birds, native to the Australian outback, were seen as pests by farmers. Why? Because they were eating the crops. Thousands of emus roamed the countryside, and their numbers swelled after World War I. The returning soldiers, many of whom were given farmland as a reward for their service, found themselves battling these feathered foes for their livelihoods. The emus were relentless. They devoured crops, damaged fences, and generally made life difficult for the farmers. Something had to be done. The solution? Call in the army, of course. Armed with Lewis guns, a type of light machine gun, the soldiers set out to cull the emu population. The plan was simple: drive the emus into a confined area and mow them down. However, things didn't go quite as planned. The emus, despite their size and seemingly docile nature, proved to be surprisingly elusive targets. They could run, and run they did, dodging bullets and generally outmaneuvering the soldiers. The Great Emu War was a series of skirmishes and failed attempts to control the emu population. Section 4. Curious Tales from the Front Line. Interesting facts and anecdotes. The Great Emu War was a military debacle, there's no denying that. In 1932, Australian soldiers were deployed to combat a large population of emus that were wreaking havoc on farmlands in Western Australia. The soldiers, armed with machine guns, thought it would be an easy task. However, it did produce some rather humorous anecdotes. The emus, with their speed and agility, proved to be formidable opponents. Soldiers often found themselves outsmarted by these large, flightless birds. For instance, there's the story of the Lewis gun jamming after only a few shots, leaving the soldiers vulnerable to the oncoming emu charge. The soldiers had to retreat and regroup, much to their embarrassment. Then there's the sheer number of bullets used compared to the number of emus actually killed. Despite their best efforts, the soldiers found it incredibly difficult to hit the fast-moving emus. It's estimated that tens of thousands of rounds were fired, but the emu casualties were surprisingly low. The emus seemed to have an uncanny ability to dodge the bullets. The emus, it seemed, were winning the war of attrition. In the end, the soldiers had to admit defeat, and the emus continued to roam the Australian outback, victorious and unscathed. Section 5. The Emu's Triumphant Defeat, Legacy and Lessons Learned. The Great Emu War ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. The Australian government, after several failed attempts to curb the emu population, decided to call off the military operation. The soldiers, who had been equipped with Lewis guns, found themselves outmatched by the sheer number and resilience of the emus. The Australian government, facing mounting criticism and ridicule, withdrew the soldiers and their Lewis guns. The operation, which was meant to protect farmlands from the emus, had turned into a public relations disaster. The emus, it seemed, had emerged victorious. They continued to roam the Australian outback, largely undeterred by human intervention. Their victory was not just over the soldiers, but over the very idea that nature could be so easily controlled. The Great Emu War, though a military defeat, serves as a potent reminder of the unexpected challenges that nature can throw our way. It underscores the unpredictability of wildlife and the limitations of human intervention. It also highlights the importance of understanding and respecting the delicate balance of ecosystems. The emus were not invaders, they were part of a complex ecological web that humans had disrupted. The emus were simply doing what emus do, surviving. Their actions were driven by instinct and necessity, not malice or intent to disrupt human activities. The Great Emu War may be a quirky footnote in history, but its lessons resonate even today. It serves as a cautionary tale about the complexities of human-wildlife interactions and the need for thoughtful, informed approaches to environmental management.